Welcome to the third episode of this ACG Show and Tell Social Mixer Summer Series. So, if you're new to this Show and Tell series, ACG stands for Anime, Comic, and Games, meaning video games. And if you are a fan, a creator, or a person that sells merchandise related to anything anime, comic, gaming, and cosplay, this is the place for you to mix and mingle with guests virtually. Also, audience members can ask questions if they want to connect and promote also with those guests as well. So this is a platform, social mixer, allowing them to do that. My name is Rosa Vasquez. I go by Collaborative Conscious, and the idea of these social mixers all come from my mission and vision of collaboration and creating new ideas to reshape our communities. So this is one of the areas of the Collaborative Conscious umbrella, social mixers. And more about why I created it is I'm also a big fan and creative of all things anime, comic, game, and cosplay as well. And wanted to shine light on especially local fans, local creatives, those who have been in this enthusiast for years and wanted a place like to also mingle with other locals as well. Because sometimes we don't know, we might live right next to somebody. As our first guest, if you missed our first episode with C1 Comic, Gary Camp, and Ed Muzon, you could find out why they explain that, about how it's a small world when it comes to being a local in this industry, or just anything in general. So welcome. So like I said, you could catch my previous episodes. Last week I had the pleasure of interviewing Sean Hill. That episode and the first episode will be on Instagram TV along with this episode here. So thank you all for coming in. And like I said, this is a social mixer. Reason why I am doing on Instagram Live is because I would like for those who are audience members to, share a comment, ask questions, to mingle with the guests that's on here as well. And let's see. So comment below, and also, as I said before, I am a fan of anime, comic, games, cosplay as well. So just a little bit of what I'm currently doing in that genre. So current anime I'm watching. So with COVID going on, I'm currently obsessing over JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series and reading the manga and watch the animes for that. So I've been kind of getting obsessed into that as well. You've probably been seeing it in my posts talking about the Bizarre Summer series. And when it comes to video games, I've been gaming since Atari, and I still casually game and love to talk about it and reminisce about it, how it shaped me as a individual and a creative as well. And the last game I currently played, which was today, I finally, just because I have a family and I gotta balance things out, I finally beat The Last Guardian. If you haven't heard about that, no, you're not too late. I'll be with you in a sec. That's our guest. I just beat The Last Guardian today. So it was a game that was supposed to come out early 2010, 2011. It came out in 2016. I just played it in 2020, thanks to COVID, I guess, like having the time to do that. So just currently played that game. So what games, animes, anime, comics, and games, or any cosplay you're creating or currently interested in doing, just send me a comment below and let me know which ones are you watching or playing or reading at this time. Also wanted to promote also on Facebook Live exclusive. I'll be doing an anime, comic, gaming, or ACG storytelling bizarre summer series. So if you are a poet, if you are a writer, if you are a storyteller, and you want to promote a short story you did related to anything anime, comic, and gaming, fan fiction, shoot me a DM, and I'll be glad to share it on my Facebook Live. So that will be a Facebook Live exclusive mini event that's taking place, coincide with the show and tell social mixers. So that's a separate thing. You could find my Facebook page if you go to my link tree in my bio above, and it'll be Collaborative Conscious Facebook page. All right, so without further ado, before I introduce my third guest for this show and tell series, this series is sponsored by nerdlife_geek life Instagram page. So if you're looking for all things geek and nerd culture related, pop culture, news, merchandise, anything related to convention news, please check out nerdlife_geeklife's Instagram page. Thank you for sponsoring this ACG show and tell summer series. So I'm going to be bringing in my guests in a few seconds. So let me add him. To chime in.
All right, testing. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me and thank you for everything that you do, Rosa. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, I can't do it without you guys. So I really appreciate it as well. So this is my third guest for the ACG show and tell social mixer. So this is Dean Aquino. He goes by the name Wild Go Dean. Am I saying that right?
That's correct. You got it right.
Yes, that's his AKA name and cosplaying. He'll be here talking about cosplay and mental health. He'll also be talking about comic convention tips, budgeting and planning. That's always important. And also coronavirus updates.
Oh, yes.
Because it's a lot of information that's being brought into us, but he'll be giving us a medical perspective, which is always great
Oh,
to
yes.
have that. So thank you so much, Dean, for joining us.
Thank
So
you for
before we
having
get
me.
into so before we get into that section, because I know you have a lot to share with us and I love it, just tell us a little bit about who you are as a cosplayer and just more about yourself.
So I'm Dean, of course. I live in New York City for 31 years. My first year was in the Philippines. So I've been cosplaying since Halloween 2015. I've been trying to cosplay since I was in high school. But of course, my mindset was school, education. I tell everyone, please, please take it seriously for school because it will go a long way. There are people who actually was in college who in cosplay at the same time. I couldn't do that. I had to do pharmacy school. So it started out where it was my first time at the Sakura Matsuri. It was a cherry blossom festival. Unfortunately, it was canceled for this year because of the coronavirus. And so 2015 was the time when it motivated me to say, hey, let's do a cosplay. So my first one is Minato, fourth Hokage from Naruto.
Yeah,
And things
nice.
have gone since. And I've been doing cons. I met new friends, and then I started doing the research part, and then I started, what's fascinating about it is it's adventurous. I want to get away from reality a little bit. You got to have a little bit of balance, okay? Especially I'm a pharmacist as well, so out of cosplay. So now I have God knows how many hats.
Yes, yes, that's so true. And I think I've been to when you say this the Sakura Festival, is that the one that's in Prospect Park in Brooklyn?
Oh no, it's across the street. It's in Brooklyn Botanic Garden, but it's in the same area.
Oh yeah, the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. That's what I meant. Yeah,
Yes.
I went there. Oh my God, forever ago. And I remember when I went, and everyone was just so beautifully dressed up and so intricate how they do these cosplay designs. And I just, always was fascinated about it. Like I love to dress up for Halloween. That's something I do, every year when I get to, especially now with my kids and just seeing the cosplay, like how amazing and beautiful that they just could create things, even things in their closet. It's just
Oh
amazing to
yes.
see how
Now
that
this one, of
works.
course, I bought it. I bought these two, but I've done a mix up of certain things. So if I like, for example, Jalal. I don't know if you watch Fairy Tale, so I used the pants. All I bought was the
Yeah.
wig and the face paint and the. So you can do many things. You can mix it up a little bit. I also
Hmm.
have the school uniform for My Hero Academia, so you can do God knows how many characters with it.
Wow, yeah. You just mix it up. That's great.
Exactly. You stretch your dollar that way. So that's one piece of advice. Oops, that was just one of
That's
the
right.
things that came out.
No, yeah, of course. That's amazing. I think like if you're able to take pieces of your cosplay costume and just mix it in with other ones, that's like always a great budget saver, always a good one. But sometimes you want to just be like, I'm gonna go all out, do this amazing one and
Oh
it's
yeah,
gonna
it's
be one of
great.
a kind. So
Exactly. I'm just saying that cosplay anything as long as no one gets hurt. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are. I've saw an elderly person dressed up as Mermaid Man from SpongeBob.
oh wow,
It was in
yeah.
Anime Boston, but you have to scroll all the way down through my Instagram to find out.
Hmm. So for far as conventions, how many off the top of your head, like you feel like you've been to
I
since,
lost
you
count.
got really, you
Wow.
really been serious with
So
it?
yeah, I've been really serious with it. So it's Otakon. I went to Anime Next, New York Comic Con ever
Hmm.
since 2016. Anime
Mm,
NYC ever since from the beginning. I've done
mm,
BoroCon. I don't
right.
know what happened to BoroCon. It was in St. John's, and then after that, it went into Brooklyn Expo Center. Went to
Mm,
Anime Expo 2 years ago. That was amazing. All right.
mm-hmm.
I couldn't make it last year due to money reasons, but there was an earthquake as well. My dad was in the
Mm,
area and he was affected by
mm,
the earthquake. It was for school
right.
reunion. I lost count at this point. I usually post it on my Instagram as well, but this year, specifically, I only went to three. It was
Mm,
PowCon in January. February, I went to KatsuCon. It was only one day. And I went to PuchiCon. It was organized by my friend. So follow her, Just Jen Cosplay, JustJenCosplays, or you can do PuchiCons, PuchiCon.
yeah, I know FujiCon. I
Yeah. Oh,
actually
yeah.
was
You do it. Yeah, you're
helping.
right. I
I was
forgot.
helping Jen. I was helping Jen on the
Oh, you
Sunday
know
show. So
Jen.
it was
Oh,
yeah. So it was the less. It was like the Sunday was the more like the family show. Sunday's always family
yes.
shows with
I didn't know you
conventions.
were
So
there. Oh my goodness.
yeah, it was
What
like
is
for a
wrong with
quick
me?
bit.
So we probably met before this. I don't know.
I
But
know it was so
yeah.
sudden, but everything was so. That was like the last convention when everything was like so unsure, like what was gonna happen. So
Yeah.
everything was so up in the air. And how do
This
you feel like with this whole thing happening? Because I know you're gonna talk about COVID in a second, but as a cosplayer and also
it's a
being in
lot.
the medical field,
Oh
like
yes.
how is this a
I have never. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I'm so sorry,
No, it's
but
fine. Go ahead.
it's. I never thought that coronavirus would affect every single aspect of my life. I never thought that way. I know it would affect pharmacy. I'm the pharmacist, and we're not
Right?
always 100% drugs. No, we have to be well rounded.
Yep.
It's not just drugs. I know I
Mm-hmm.
love drugs, but it's also health as well. Drugs are not going to work if
Yes,
you're not going to take care of your health. It's
that's
obvious.
right.
Okay, then there's
Mm-hmm.
conventions now because you can't put a large amount of people indoors close together. And I
Mm-hmm.
never heard of social distancing until March.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And hey, hello, Chaco. Okay, I just want to say hi to all the people watching.
Thank you for coming.
And I'm a subway guy too. I do all the
Mm-hmm.
subway maps. Everyone knows that affected it.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a lot, and I'm autistic, so it's a lot. I'm high functioning, but
Mm-hmm.
what I tell people is take this one step at a time. There are also virtual cons. I know some people complain
Yes.
to me about it. They say it's not the same thing. It's better than
Yeah.
nothing. So
Right. Right. Exactly.
uh, and lastly, there is one con in particular. I don't know if you saw the post I did, but it was Hero Hype, and it was in Tampa,
No.
Florida. I mean, as
Mm.
of this live, it's one of the hot spots, and they still went
Mm.
ahead with it. Not everyone was wearing masks, so it's
Ooh,
Hero. You
yeah.
can type Hero Hype. They have their own Instagram. They have some videos of it. Some of the attendees don't have a mask. I tell people like from now on, it's going to be no badge, no mask, no entry. If
Mm-hmm.
Since there is no national strategy, how we'll just start with that, okay? I mean, except
Yep.
the mask part, just no, like just wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands, and if you get
Mm-hmm.
tested positive, you isolate. Start from
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm. No, yes, those are amazing points, and I'd love for you to share that and more, especially someone that goes to conventions and conventions, especially New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic
Yes.
Con, PAX East and West, how jam-packed those could be, and just walking through them, and how is it going to change, next year? Because it seems like everything this year is just done, and look moving forward how things are going to be next year, right? So it's really planning for those things.
Oh yeah, I still don't get any information yet on your Comic
Mm-hmm.
Con or Anime NYC. Those are the two cons left, and everything's a
Yeah.
question mark. One con
Mm-hmm.
just got canceled. It's Liberty City.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times I went to there, but so because I don't know if this is New York based. So in New York there are 4 phases. We're in phase 3. So
Right. Hmm.
anything with movie theaters, gyms, casinos, and cons, anything with large gatherings or high risks, it's still being evaluated. So it's not on
Hmm.
any of the phases. So just something to point out.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm an educator, so I'm just waiting to see what's happening. It's just news at this point, and
Hmm.
mayor saying one thing, governor saying another thing. So it's all about who do
And
I
the
really listen
clown,
to?
there's this
Yes.
guy. This guy is from Queens. I'm from Queens. I can't
Yes.
believe it. So basically, just think of it like this: you're in a concert, and they're all playing their own music, but there's
Mm-hmm.
no it's either the conductor with the one with the stick on it is not there, or sleeping on the wheel, or just drunk, and then
Yep.
and there's no direction. That's how it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty. It's a awakening. It's a really rude awakening kind of thing, and shocking at the same time. But I know you have so much to share, so I wanted to jump into your show and tell right away if you're ready for that,
Yes.
because you have so much wonderful things to share. So I wanted to address the audience, and for those of you who are tuning in, remember you could catch the beginning of this and the rest of this show on Instagram TV later on, right after this. And if you have any questions, you could comment right below if you're joining us live, or leave comments in the Instagram live post when I post this. So without further ado, just it's all to you, Dean.
Yes, so I'm showing my cosplay, so I'm Aizawa. I relate to him because I'm always sleepy. There's some people who actually disagree with me. They think I relate to other cosplayers, but the thing is, at least even though he seems a little lazy and seems sleepy all the time, there's you know what to expect from him. So there's a leadership
Mm.
role to that. So, but he'll
Oh,
still
yeah.
do what it takes to protect the students of Class 1A. What's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit different is that, look here. So I know because I'm not that far. You know, you can be a hero. You can
Yeah,
become a hero too.
that's
I
right.
The reason why I
We need
did
that positive message.
exactly the reason why I say this, I can't do this alone. No one can. You and I can't do this alone. As
Yes.
I mean, that's based on what you know, the name of your Instagram or the name of your website. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I shared it with actually my therapist. No offense,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, but you know
I
what?
love
That's
it. No, the share away.
yeah, I think this is a really important message. It says it takes a village. It does take a village, and I agree. It's about collaborating rather than competing. But look at
Yes.
this, because if we're all divided, that's easy for the virus to spread.
Yes.
You know, divide and conquer.
Exactly.
We're already divided. Now they conquer. So we already gave them half the work.
Yep.
So yeah,
Exactly.
and I've been cosplaying for God knows how long. I think it's for at least 3 years for Aizawa. So I've had
Mm-hmm.
different versions. One version is, of course, is the canon, but I mean, this is no right now. This is the casual one. It looks canon, but I have the you can
Mm-hmm.
become a hero. I also did. It was back in last year's DerpyCon. I did my solo panel on con survival, my first solo panel. My second
Wow.
general panel. My first panel was we did it with a few friends. It was a My Hero Academia fan panel in Liberty City for I
Mm-hmm.
forgot which. Oh no, it's 2018. Yes, and that was
Mm-hmm.
packed. I don't know if they're going to accept that anymore for the
Right.
conventions moving forward. If of course New York, you know, goes ahead with those large gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
So and oh yes, so I did the formal version, but I didn't I really wanted the long hair. I love the long hair. So I kept the tie, I kept the white shirt, but I kept the long hair and I kept the scarf as well. I posted on YouTube as
Nice.
well.
Definitely have to check
It's
it
on,
out.
yes, that's right. So you can DM me for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I say it's Con Survival 101. That's what I write it as, and it says Wild Goldine as the username for YouTube. I just changed it.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you so much for that.
No problem. So
Uh,
that's for my show and tell.
no, great. So, when it comes to cosplay and mental health, so tell me a little bit about that topic. So when it comes to cosplay and mental health, why do you think it's so important for you, and why do you think it's important for cosplay in general?
Well, for me, it's important for cosplay in general because it's for us to be, you know, in a different world. Sometimes reality is very burdensome. At least for me, I'm autistic, so
Mm-hmm.
I get overwhelmed easily and all that. So I wanted to go to a much safer, I would say maybe safer place, so like a place that I'm comfortable in. So
Mm-hmm.
where I am able to talk to friends. When I cosplayed, it made me more confident to
Mm-hmm.
talk to other people because we have the same interests. So maybe if I can use that, I can actually improve on my communication skills if I do talk to people who I'm not you know, comfortable talking to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's to help me practice as a way. That at least that's for me. And you know, and to make more friends as well, because it's harder to make friends just outside of the con scene. But now, when there's all these cons being canceled and whatnot, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important that people who organize these cons, maybe do something virtual. I would say do something blended. For example, if you really want to do a if you really want to go ahead with the convention, I would say both. Do it virtual, and especially the big ones with a lot of money, simply because the capacity has just dwindled. I mean, just the maximum capacity, maybe 25%, 50%. So at least that way you can actually have that experience. I know it may not be the same, but going to concerts a way to get away from to get away to try to get to a place that I'm comfortable, and also talk to people who I'm comfortable with, who we share the same values.
No, I think that's so important too, because I know for me, I just got into cosplay recently, and I think when it comes to mental health, like it's the same could be applied for anime, those who watch anime, gaming, those who play video games. Like I know for me, like there wasn't no term as self-care. It was always like just suck it up and deal with it.
Nope, doesn't work.
Gaming, yeah. So gaming for me, as a gamer, and anime later on, and then cosplay later on, like gaming was the first thing for me if I needed to like just take a break, and like just kind of focus on something. And it taught me a lot of things, especially growing up in the 90s, gaming was still seen as this violent thing. And then it's early 2000 with Columbine happening, it was even more considered. So a lot of myths and taboos, which I talked about when I did a PuchiCon virtual con, like how all these myths and taboos came about from gaming, and what parents think, still have those myths about it. They still think it's violent, but I saw it as like with gaming, it helped me with focus, organization, helped me with strategy, really deep thinking, cognitive thinking,
Correct.
Especially, which is something now
We're lacking
that schools
this.
are stressing. Yeah, schools are trying to get kids to be cognitive deep thinkers, and gaming really pushed that for me, elevated that for me, my vocabulary, being able to storytell, and also relate to people who are similar interests as well.
I didn't even think about it. Yeah, you're right. Building the book. I didn't even think about that. Wow. I did Yu-Gi-Oh cards and I was young, and they hated it, but that helped us with math.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because it's one of those things like, if the public, the adults don't understand it, they think it's bad, So it's like when The Simpsons first came out and they wanted to ban it from TV, and everything else that happens down the road. The older generation don't understand it. It becomes like chaos. And
Family Guy's another one.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's so so it's being able to just be open-minded about whether it's cosplay, anime, gaming. Asking, like, me being a parent, asking your child, talking with them, oh, why are you watching this? Why are you playing this? What other skills are being set there? Like now there's been a push of soft skills, because it's the hard skills of being able to do trade school or whatever, but there's soft skills of communication, relating to other people, critical thinking,
we need a lot of that.
Yeah, being able to do constructive criticism and things like that, teamwork, So soft skills are those that gaming has helped me to build. And also I stress to my students as well. And then parents come to me and say, oh, my child doesn't sit at home and play games all day, or they just watch anime all day. And it's like, well, have you asked them why? Ask them questions, deeper thinking questions, like what are they getting out of it? Build from, and the teachers as well. I'm an educator, and, I always enjoyed when students especially were into anime, comic, and gaming, and always asked them those questions, and really was able to let the parents know and other teachers know this is how you could get to them to reach other subjects. Spin it like this, twist her, like kind of create the curriculum anew, which is, so some teachers are like, oh no, this is the way I do it, and don't change it. Don't let me change my curriculum. They get very set in there.
Put a little bit.
Yeah, they get set in their ways, especially teachers, especially old school teachers, So I think it's changed a lot in the past 10 years, because now, like, with cosplay and the conventions have been really showing that it's not just for one group of subculture, it's part of culture now.
Everybody.
And it's really highlighting mental health as well. And I've heard, I collaborate sometimes with this organization from Dream Yard called the BX Start, and they want to talk about, local gaming in the Bronx and about mental health as well, and how it's helped, and that was a conversation we talked about on one of our Minecraft community conversations. And it was interesting how a lot of the gamers who are younger now, and they're and going to college, they said that how it helped them during times of depression, times of anxiety, to cope and to, how it is to, be, in a world that people are able to understand them and relate to them, and to, like you said, to kind of find this escape as this character
Don't
in this
overdo it.
world.
I'm sorry, but don't overdo
Yes.
it. Don't
Yeah,
do it
don't go
like
too extreme.
yeah, don't go. Your eye. You need to rest with your eyes and your hands
Yes.
and all that. Just this is a little bit off topic, but I remember I was typing for when I was in an internship. I had to type up something. I got carpal tunnel syndrome, and then I had
Yeah.
my cast. There was my when I was graduating from pharmacy school, the cast was there. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
I do agree with you. It's got to be a balance to everything, So that's always something I try to stress with my students as well,
exactly.
So yeah, so I wanted to also go into now like convention tips, planning,
Oh
and
yes.
budgeting. Like share some of
Where do I
those tips
start?
you have for us.
So I did have the panel for it. I'm probably gonna do one next year with PuchiCon with Jen. So
Okay.
she requested I'm doing. So great. What's important is you got to start at least a few months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's going to be a little bit harder with coronavirus because now cons are
Right.
just canceling things at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't even book a flight, and I'll talk about it a little bit. I can't even book a flight or book a hotel ahead of time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what. So planning is very important. So you want to plan which cosplays you want to do. So you have to write it down. You just can't keep it in your head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's great to do it early, but also look at the entire schedule, especially if you're a student, because
Mm-hmm.
you gotta pass. Because if you don't, especially if you're in college, you're wasting more money than if you would spend money to go to a con or if you, to buy merch, for example. So you gotta really think carefully. Also, when it comes to money, I tell people these two things. So if you get a paycheck every week or every other week, you take a certain percentage. It's up to you. I say 10%, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just adjust a certain way. But don't just say, oh, 10% out of nowhere. You have to
Mm-hmm.
know your costs as well. I write down everything. So
Mm-hmm.
every single day. And I check my app. I have a Citibank app and a Chase app every single day. Even if it's penny, you write that down. You write down the minus. If
Right.
I lose a penny, it's minus 0.01. So
Mm-hmm.
so that's the spending part. On the time part, I always have a planner. I have 24 hours of each day. I buy every single year. Even if you
Nice.
don't fill out the ones where it says even it's 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., you put your notes in there, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If when you're doing itinerary, always keep the paper ticket and your electronic ticket. God forbid your phone dies, or God forbid you can't find your paper ticket. You got to have a got to have a backup. And
Right.
also, when you're doing cosplays, if you really want to make it, you have to set a timeline. A lot of people tend to con crunch. I've con crunched.
Mm.
Okay.
What is that? Can you elaborate a little bit more
Yeah,
on
con
that?
crunch means that you put everything until the last minute, and then you have about a week left to prepare everything.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
that would lead to burnout. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We want you to have the best time of your life when you go to a con. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's going to be some stress involved. My planner is my phone. Yes. So I like to do it on
Yes, me too.
paper. There's a reason why I
Good
do things
balance.
on
Yeah.
paper. Because when you see something and it goes to, my theory is, and I made it up, by the way, I have no evidence for this. When you see
Okay.
something, you put the information goes here, goes to the brain, it goes to the arms, and then you write it down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the evidence, but that's just how I see it.
That's your processing. No, I agree with you because I still have my little notepad here, and for me, it's one of those things that I feel if I'm physically writing it down, I
Yes.
remember it better. So
Oh,
it does help with memory. Especially the older you get, it's like or so many other responsibilities. Like let me it's sort of like I even tell my students this, like even if they say they have it on their phone, like I'll be like, it's
what if your
best to
phone
write it
dies?
down.
Some people
Yeah,
forget. Some people forget to bring their battery packs, or whatever they call it, or they forget to bring their chargers.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the the big one.
For some reason, just typing it like doot, 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 is different
Hmm.
from writing it down. I'm trying to figure out why. I mean, it's the same thing. It
Mm-hmm.
goes through your brain, it goes through your hands.
Mm-hmm. I think it's that physical kinesthetic part to it. Like,
Ah,
okay,
I
this is,
see.
could be that. You're like, okay, I'm actually doing something with my hands. So I
Oh.
know I'm that kind of learner. So I know I need to write something down to know it, to
Hmm.
kind of better understand it.
Yeah,
So it
listening's
helps
not
me
enough for
out.
me. I'm very deep with these things. I like when I teach people how to do certain things, I always like to relate to certain things, and I also say, "Oh, you know what? This is what you do. Move this around with your hands." I
Mm-hmm.
have a friend who has ADHD. She's now a mental health counselor, and she wants to
Mm-hmm.
go further, but due to money and COVID issues, but
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't. But the thing is, even the professors are telling her, "You know what? You're in a good place with a good salary. I think you should stay there for now." Before you go
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. So in this case, she doesn't understand science very well. So I talked about, diffusion. So you go from high concentration
Yeah.
to low concentration. So there's this part where there's a living room and the kitchen. They have two different floors. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
a divider. That's like the cell membrane. And then I say, okay, when you go from high concentration, low concentration, you go from the kitchen to the living room. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
facilitated, I'm going to I'm going to escort you with my arm, and then we're going to go from one area to the next. It's facilitated, so I help you out. And then active diffusion, you go from low concentration to high concentration. It requires energy, so we push back. So you got to push harder in order to get to the next. That's one small example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think like just being able to kind of visually explain it in that way, it makes it I feel like it makes it more easier to, kind of remember it, to get the idea of it in some ways. Like illustration. It's like a visual
Yes.
illustration,
Oh, I have
which
one for the
most,
masks.
oh yeah.
Wearing pants. It's I got it. I didn't make this up. I posted it because I think we're not doing enough. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing the best I can. The news thing with the coronavirus. I didn't want to get too off topic. It's like all over the place. I'm trying to find the one that's really important here, but I'm doing the best I can to make sure it's clear. But I don't know if people are listening.
I would say, I like since you've been putting those up, I was like reading every little tidbit you put because you've been giving the most like factual or like clear cut information, like it's
Thank
not
you.
over the top. It's not like, well, we think this is gonna happen. It's like, actual studies and science and
Hmm.
research behind these things and, case studies and stuff. And that's like sometimes we can't deny science. Sometimes we have to just go by, step by step, take hypothesis and study these things. And I think what you've been sharing with us, it's been very opening for me and amazing to like get this
Thank you.
information because sometimes the information the media gives, especially United States media, it's been very like, oh my God, like, oh, what are we gonna do? Let's check. We have to wait to hear this and that. It's been sort of like a circus show, and people, a lot of fearful stories, like a lot of fear-based media. And sometimes I just get so tired of it that I just shut it off and, tell me the stuff I need to know,
Yeah,
And so that's
I
why
cite
I
them.
just see Cuomo. That's it.
No,
Yeah,
I
exciting.
do.
Yes, definitely.
I take Cuomo's slides and I post it on my I posted them on my feed because they make
Mhm.
sense because I did the fact checking. Even with ABC News,
Mhm.
I just posted one from ABC News just a few minutes ago. A 30-year-old woman in San Antonio's went to a COVID party. Don't be a COVIDiot. I'm sorry. Like I don't mean to be,
That's a good term.
but whatever I can do to save your life and not harm
Right.
anyone else, I'll say it. But so this is her quote. Dude, people should listen. Overall, it's more I can do it myself nowadays. Think, think. Got to do your homework. Okay.
Yes.
So so this person said, um, I didn't I didn't know this. I didn't know it's a hoax. I didn't think I would get it. I've been
Mhm.
telling you this. I think Dr. Fauci has been telling you this. All the
Mhm.
healthcare professionals are telling you this, and you don't listen. Now she's dead.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
preventable. Imagine that's your mom, your dad. I lost two patients in the pharmacy from
Mhm.
coronavirus. I lost a regular person to coronavirus. That regular person, not a patient, but she refused to wear a mask, and she recently
Mhm.
had open heart surgery.
Oh. Oh yeah. Serious stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like, it's also the percentage of people that if it hasn't affected them in some way or form, and I think for myself, I had a family member that had coronavirus and they recover, they're currently recovering. So those being, to hear the news or people feel like it's a conspiracy, it's kind of like, it's a little upsetting, but
it
it's
is
one of those
upsetting.
things like we have to really understand like the numbers of this thing. We have to take it more serious and the social distancing is new to everyone. The face mask stuff is new to people in the United States. And it's just one of those things we have to be mindful and aware of. Like what we do affects other people. We can't be selfish about it no more, you know?
Exactly. I mean, it's still an adjustment, and I've heard about people with my disorder who are going through a lot because it's a huge change, and you had to do it very quickly, especially for those who are in school. I think the best thing I tell people, take it one step at a time. Tell them, you're not alone. We're in it together. As I said before,
Mm-hmm.
if we're divided, we already gave the virus half the work that it didn't need to do. Now all it needs is to conquer.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So
I
tell
don't know
us a
what
little
to
bit
say.
more. Yeah. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about any coronavirus updates you want to give that's maybe you
Yes.
want to stress or reiterate that,
Yes.
I guess I think everyone's been talking about social distancing, wear the mask. I mean, we
Hmm.
see what's going on in the reopening of Florida, Texas, these states that reopen and now are just shutting down again. Yeah,
Yes.
anything you want to share that
I
you feel
wanted
would
to
be
say,
important
I've
for
been
those to know?
saying this. Yeah, exactly. I've been saying this ever since March of 2020 when we were in PucciCon. I was
Yeah.
monitoring this thing. Okay, this year for
Yeah, I
PucciCon,
remember. Yeah.
I was
You
looking at
were monitoring since the beginning.
I would post, oh, there's a first case for New York City. Type, 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 type,
Mm-hmm.
type. And that happened when we were in PucciCon. Actually, wait, no, that
Mm-hmm.
happened before PucciCon, but the cases started coming in. And I
Right.
didn't,
Mm-hmm.
hindsight's 2020, I didn't even realize that we actually had coronavirus in February. Who knew? I was in
Right.
DC,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
you saw my photos for KatsuCon. It was like nothing. We thought, look, now we're gonna, as Governor Cuomo said, a virus in one place can be a virus in any place because, especially how you can have it without symptoms. That's
Mm.
why testing's important. Do not slow the testing down, please. Do not. You know, information, knowledge is power. You know that.
Yep. Exactly.
So that's the thing. Antibodies. You've heard about antibodies. Governor Cuomo also talked about antibodies. Oh, that means you're protected. You're ready to go. In a study in China, take it with a grain of salt. And there's a study here in New York City. About 8 weeks later, it's undetectable.
Mm.
That's scary. There's
Mm-hmm.
also a flaw. So they only talked about antibodies. They forgot about long-term immunity, where you see that with what we call cell-mediated. So it may not come in the form of antibodies. It could come in the form of white blood cells. But they didn't really do studies on that, or maybe they're working on it, but we didn't get the information yet.
Mm.
This is a changing kind of thing. Another thing is people who have recovered, they're going to have some kind of issues down the line for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Hopefully not,
Mm-hmm.
but they have to really pay attention with their health. So of course,
Mm-hmm.
do the usual, eat healthy, exercise, and so on. Because this virus, even though it's only respiratory, it's inflammatory right afterwards. So because I'll explain, and this might be a lot. So here it is. Virus
Go
goes in your
ahead.
nose, your eyes, or
Mm-hmm.
your mouth. Okay, I touch. But that's okay. I'm the only one here. Look at this. In the room. This is COVID Rebel headquarters. Okay, this is actually not my room. My room's upstairs, but I am in house arrest because we're
Okay.
we're here to stop the spread. My mom's 65. I'm high risk. I mean, she's
Yeah.
high risk. I'm high risk
Right.
because I'm
Right.
asthmatic, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing what I can. So
Right. Mm-hmm.
it goes in the nose. So it will go into the main thing is it will go into one of the cells. It's what we call type 2 uh, lung cells, and it's called the surfactant cells. I know it's a lot. Surfactant is a little bit like soap. You know how you blow
Mm-hmm.
bubbles,
Yeah.
and the soap is what keeps the bubbles together. In this case,
Mm-hmm.
surfactant keeps the alveoli, which are like the bubbles. It keeps that
Mm-hmm.
together. Without it, they pop, or in this case,
Mm-hmm.
they'll just shrink. And how are you gonna able to carry the oxygen capacity? That's also like a bridge to get the carbon dioxide out. So you got oxygen in, goes in alveoli, and then uses another cell, other cells where it's used for gas exchange. That's lung cells number type 1. And, that gets attacked also afterwards. And it just becomes dominoes, dominoes, dominoes. And then the body will think, oh, there's an invasion. And then they'll start getting all these what we call inflammatory markers. And then they'll start attacking the virus, but it also attacks your own body. And then there's more inflammation. And then it spreads to the blood vessels. And then now you're forming clots because the body thinks, oh no, there's a problem here. Let's stop the blood flow so that the infection doesn't go into other parts of the body. But too late. Now you're going to have clots going throughout the body. And now that's why some people are having multi-organ failure. It's scary. And now people are developing clots. So if you're not taking this seriously now, you really have to take this seriously. And it happens at any age. I call it the high-risk club. The high-risk club is the people who are more likely to get it. So as I said, asthmatics. Anything with cardiovascular disease. So hypertension. If you had a history of heart failure, heart attack, a stroke. If you're 60 years or older, so if you're elderly. If you're young, so your teenagers, your kids, similar to the flu, but you can't compare the flu and the coronavirus. Now we're thinking there's going to be a second wave because it will coincide with the flu virus. These two viruses do very well in cold, dry weather, but they don't last. Even though they don't last long in hot and humid weather, they still last for a few hours, especially when it's airborne. That's why you see going up. People think, oh, it's summertime. That means it's gone. No, it doesn't disappear just like that. Right. The other thing is there is an emerging flu strain. Now, it has affected only a handful of people, less than 100 in China. I don't know the exact number, but it has something called what we call reassortment. So reassortment is where these viruses would exchange with DNA. Now, not DNA, RNA, but there is RNA and DNA. If for people who don't know about RNA, DNA, those are the genetic materials. So that would lead to making the proteins and all that stuff. And so any virus can actually exchange information and things can change and it can mutate or it may not. And in this case, for coronavirus, I was told there was an S and an L. I did not bring it up in any of my webinars simply because if it's coronavirus, it's coronavirus. Take it seriously no matter what. Okay, this one for the flu, they call it, this is an upgraded version of the H1N1. That's the same strain that affected, that was the Spanish flu and the 2009 swine flu pandemic. Okay, and now this one is called G4EA H1N1. That's how they call it. I don't know how they come up with these letters. Right. But this one is originating from pigs, in this case in China. But we don't know what's going on. But either way, these same measures, you would prevent coronavirus from spreading. You can do the same thing with the flu. Now, with the regular flu season, a lot of people die from it, but it's not so much media coverage. I think it should get the light of day as well.
No, yeah. Oh my God. All the information you said, very informative, scientific. I mean, if you took basic living environment biology, you should know some of these terms already. You haven't, Google it as well, you know.
I tried to make sure that what I said, they understand it, even if they never took a biology class in their lives.
Right. No, you do an amazing job. And even in your posts as well on Instagram, like really breaking it down for everybody to really understand it. And, you know, that was probably the most logical understanding I got of it. It makes so much sense, you know, to really get people to understand, like, especially the process of how this virus shifts and what it does to your body organ by organ and the potential when it does come the second wave and also what could happen in the next year or so, you know, and like you said, people think it's summertime, that it's not airborne or is more or less, you know.
You still get the flu in summertime. It's just less likely. So I have a question here. Why is everyone saying the death rate is going down? You know, this is the issue. There is a lag period. We've seen that with New York, and New York became the epicenter. In the beginning, even Cuomo said, oh, we're testing more. And then now we saw this blow up. You know, there's also these hospitalizations as well. And not everyone's paying attention to it. So there is a lag period. It goes to your point where most of us are thinking very superficially. This is
Mm-hmm.
not good. So they'll say, "Oh, it's going down. It's time to celebrate! Yay!" That's not how it works. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's I have the Aizawa thinking like, nope, too bad. You gotta keep
Yeah.
going. No, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. I can do it in like three at least three, four languages. All right, kids. Estudiantes empezamos. I mean, let's start. Whoever doesn't know Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes. So the other thing is it's more airborne. I already knew that from
Mm-hmm.
the very beginning. If it's a respiratory
Mm-hmm.
virus, you have to assume it's airborne.
Right.
Okay. Now they're saying it's less likely for it to get from surfaces. Now, some
Mm.
people will say something called fomites, FOMITE. That's just saying the surface where the virus goes. It could go on your skin, may not go in there. It will do the damage when it goes in your nose, mouth, or eyes, or if it goes into the blood, if you're bleeding. But if it goes on your skin, that's why you wash your hands and
Mm-hmm.
you do your hand sanitizing. But
Mm-hmm.
but you could still get the risk. Now people will ask, oh, when you're swimming as well. Now with swimming, it doesn't travel as fast. And now if it's chlorinated, you're fine. But if you're in the ocean, you need to like have a huge dose of virus. Okay, so
Mm.
dosing also plays a role. That's why it's important to have a mask. If you don't have a mask, and people can spread by singing or talking or just breathing. And if they're not
Mm-hmm.
wearing a mask, then you're screwed. But especially if it's long periods of time and when you're exposed to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So dose counts as well, but it doesn't. But people wouldn't understand. So that's why don't take any chances. Please don't
Yep. I
take any
think.
chance. Don't be that 30-year-old. I just post this one. Don't be that 30-year-old woman who went to a COVID party and the person who hosted it tested positive, and she wanted to see, oh, is it going to spread? So she attended. She got it, and then she regretted it. Don't do that.
Oh wow. Yeah. It's just crazy how people take life so not so serious, and it's that's one of the things that's coming up now with we're now wondering if the schools should open in September,
Oh my
like,
goodness, more
and
cacophony.
it's weird because you have teachers who is like, should I even step foot into the school? Parents wondering, should I send my kid to school? Then there's like, what do I do about work and date and childcare? And then the other question is this, like, you want schools to open or you plan to open in September, but you're not going to open up large gatherings. You just said that a few days, the mayor said that a few days ago, now opening large gatherings. Like, so what is school considered then, So, yeah,
So
like
this
they said,
guy,
Trump said all schools must open.
yeah,
It's,
I
it
don't
is
say his name.
scary.
I'm sorry, Rosa. I do not say his name. I do not.
No,
I
no
just
problem.
say no. I just say
It's
this
like
guy.
Harry Potter, what's the Voldemort?
This guy said we must open those schools. That's he's trying to escape it. This case, you cannot escape it. You got to work together. You just closing your eyes. It's not going to go away.
Hmm.
Okay, he hasn't learned the lesson. So in this case, if you want to be if you want to be smart about it, keep yourself informed. Take a deep breath. All right. Don't guarantee anything. Do not.
Hmm.
Okay. But always go for the safest, the safest thing, which is remote learning all the way. And it doesn't always work for everybody. Now
Right.
in New York, I don't know about any other states. So we're thinking of doing blending.
Right. Hmm. The
Okay, it
blended
really,
learning.
yeah, it's very individualized. The hardest part is people who are working because
Hmm.
they, especially for the younger kids, they can't do it themselves.
Oh yeah. I have two little ones. I have a 5-year-old and pre-K is gonna be 4 by the time he starts
God
pre-K, and
bless you.
and I'm also a teacher. I'm a service provider as well, special education. So it's like not only do I have to do online learning with those students, I got to make sure my kids are doing what they're supposed to do. And it's that some parents don't have that option. Some of them have to be at work, so it's
Hmm.
a lot of things to consider. But I always feel you got to follow your instincts as a
Yes,
parent, do what you think is right for your
get
family.
yourself informed.
Yeah, definitely get informed, do your research. Don't just because the schools say they want to open school, don't be like, all right, yeah, sure, I'm just gonna follow blindly. You have to really
No,
think
put
about
your
health,
voice in too.
Yeah.
Put your voice in. Okay,
Hmm.
your tax money goes there.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I think it's just a fear of unknown, like we went into this no plan with the schools, no plan with the government. So it's sort of like, what are we gonna do with the with all this stuff that's going on and that's all this news that's happening that's saying like we're gonna try this, we're gonna do this phase, it's a lot of things up in the air. So it does leave people that fear, So it's being able to your own internal individual fears, how to overcome those to make those
Hmm.
is those decisions that that are instinctually survival. What do
Yes.
we do to survive? And right now it's social distancing. It's being able to wear the mask. Yep.
Hmm. I
Mm-hmm.
tell people, if they're scared, seek help. You don't have to do this alone. I couldn't get through pharmacy school alone. I could not deal with this pandemic alone. I needed my coworkers. I needed my family members. I needed friends. You're one of them. I need you give me inspiration. I thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you too. I mean, you are spreading this information, and you're still doing cosplay
Yes.
information as well, which is, it's a way for people just to de-stress themselves too. We need spaces to de-stress and spaces that it's just to kind of get away for a few minutes or hour, whatever it may be. But I wanted to go into, I know
Yes,
you
go
didn't put
ahead.
this, but I know you do the MTA subway information.
Yeah, I put there the subway
But
planning. Yes.
yeah, so tell us, like, why did you start that? I know you're a New Yorker like me.
Yes.
I was born and raised in the Bronx. I live in
That's
Queens, so
okay.
I always
Hey,
feel like
neighbors.
the Bronx and Queens are so reversed with their trains and buses, And then I had to get used to Queens because there's
Hmm.
street, there's plaza, there's road, there's like so like you'll say, oh, go to 160th. Is it 160th Street, 160th Ave, 160th
160th Road,
Place?
160th
Yeah,
Lane, Place. Yes.
yeah. So what made you get started with? Because it's an amazing idea. I like it.
Yeah, it started out where I was in college and I was taking the A train. I called it the anxiety train. I live in Howard Beach. I live near
Oh,
JFK.
there's those two. Yeah, I know the A train.
Oh my goodness. So you get only half the service. I think
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it feels like they more people go to that other branch, and I
Hmm.
was so stressed out. And I told this to my friends. It's better to help inform people than to punch someone in the face. I know that is very blunt. Okay,
Hey, you got to be sometimes for people to get it.
because we're New Yorkers.
Yeah.
So it started out where I forgot his name. He had his own website for doing all the maps, and I just posted and I would put it's made by this guy or made from this website, and I always
Mm.
thanked them for helping
Hmm.
me. And not many people know about it, so I just told
Yeah.
everyone on Instagram. And then we had another person. Now I remember this person. So this person transferred to another person. This person's named Lance. I don't know him personally, but he said, "Oh, my name is Lance. I'm gonna take over from this other guy who quit." So he's been doing this, I
Mm.
think, for about 4 years. And December
Mm.
and 2019 was his last year. I think this
Oh.
the last weekday or weekend of 2019. He stopped doing the maps, and I was so sad. But
Oh.
I
Yeah.
went solo. And
Yeah.
yeah, because his maps are so clean and they give all the information. And now I'm going to do it by myself, which I didn't have a problem with it because that takes all the negative energy out even more. And I get to
Yes.
and now I got to have a little bit of freedom. And he only did nights, late nights and weekends. Now I do everything. So if it
Yeah.
happens on
Huh.
the weekends, I'll just post on weekends. If it's on weekdays, you'll see based on the color of the base maps. If it's lighter, that
Hmm.
means it happens during the day. If it's darker, that means obviously it happens at night. And I'll always have this list in addition to having the pictures, so people know where to go. I actually have really good feedback. And I have one person who told me, "I don't go to the MTA. I just check on Dean."
That's what you should call it.
I'm
Check
like,
on Dean.
what? Okay, so let me be honest with you. I do not replace what's stated on the MTA because
Right.
I don't post real time stuff. So it's
Hmm.
mta.info. They have all the stuff. I only do the subways. There'll be
Right.
times where LIRR would start coming in and Metro North. I'll
Mm.
put that there. reason why I don't do buses is because it's so unpredictable, and
Yeah.
and you'd
Mhm.
have a long list, and then you'd be all confused. So,
Mhm.
but if you want to get bus information, obviously go to mta.info. I use bustime.mta.info, so it'll tell you everything, and you track down the buses. There's also subwaytime.mta.info, assuming there's cell service. Most of them, I think they should.
Mhm.
Now we have to add those ones where you don't have to swipe the card and spread the infection. You just put the phone, boom,
Hmm.
done.
Yep.
Still
Exactly.
working on it.
No, this is some great stuff. But before you go, Dee, we got like 5 minutes for
Wow, I didn't
Instagram
even
decides.
realize it.
Yeah, we had good
Wow.
conversation before Instagram kicks me out and kicks us out.
Yes, exactly.
So I always ask this question. So those who've joined the audience, thank you so much. If you have more questions, you could comment after in the Instagram live post I put in a sec. So this question is relates to myself as collaborative conscious that I always feel relates back to my philosophy. And it's how do you envision collaboration for yourself as not only a cosplayer, but as a creator as well?
So as a cosplayer and creator, how do I envision collaboration?
Hmm.
I got this from Tony Robbins. So I don't know if you know him. He's an
Yeah.
inspiration guy. He's a tall guy. Your best resource is to be resourceful.
Mm.
What he means is that, you can do everything that's on the face of this earth. You only have two hands, two arms, two legs, two eyes, one nose, two ears.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so much you could do. That's why you build relationships. You don't burn
Mm-hmm.
bridges. So you always try to get along with people. Of course, there will be a few bad apples, but try not to get with them,
Right.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
of course, there is contest competing and all that stuff. But it's really, really important to build your relationships, even when you're trying to get a job. Same goes
Mm-hmm.
with cons, but in cons, it's much more. You feel it's much you feel more comfortable because it's not like it's a job. You're just there to have a good time. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually put this somewhere in the slides when I was doing the webinar. You never know if you're going to get a position, for a job position, if you met someone, you made a new friend, for at a con.
Right. No, it's so true. I love that saying definitely so much. But thank you so much, Dean, for joining
Thank you,
us. Goes by
Rosa.
Wild Go Dean on Instagram. So where else can they follow you? Is it just Instagram or you have
It's
others?
just it's just mainly Instagram. That's where I put everything, because whatever I put Instagram will go on Twitter, but Twitter
Ah,
is
got
gonna
it.
hard to get.
Yeah.
Tumblr, but I don't use Tumblr too much. Facebook, it goes on the Facebook page, but just Instagram.
Okay. And your Instagram is wild_Goldine?
Yes, Wild Goldine
Oh,
one.
Wild Goldine one.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I
Wild
got that
Goldine.
from
I'll
my
put that.
yes,
Yeah, where did
Wild
you come up with
Goldine.
the name?
WILDGOLDEAN. It started out when I was playing Pokemon Go. I don't have it
Hmm.
anymore, and a
Ah,
Wild
yeah.
Goldine appears. There you go. I got it from my
Love it.
brother. My
No, that's
brother's
great.
my brother's Instagram handle is Saturdazel. SATURDAZIL. Dazel is my brother. So
Wow, interesting. Well, thank you so much, Dean. And of course, like I said, I'll link his Instagram and Instagram description in a bit. So thank you so much for joining us.
thank you for having me, Rosa. All right, you
All
have a good
right,
one.
take
Be
care.
safe.
You
I'll see you in the
too.
next con, hopefully.
Yes, thank